The night I found the second phone, I almost threw up in the kitchen sink. It was hidden inside an old boot in the back of our closet, wrapped in a sock like she thought I would never clean out my own shoes. I did not confront her. I did not scream. I did not even let my hands shake until I was locked inside the bathroom with the shower running so she would not hear me breathing hard. 6 months. That is how long I knew before I ever said a word. And every single one of those days, I smiled at her across the dinner table like my whole world had not just cracked down the middle. My name is Daniel, I am 34 years old, and until that night I believed I had a good marriage. Rachel and I had been together for 9 years, married for 6. We met in college, built a life together, bought a small house we both loved, and I genuinely thought we were happy. She worked as a marketing coordinator at a mid-sized firm downtown, and I worked long hours as a project manager for a construction company. Looking back, I think that was the crack she slipped through. My hours got longer. Her hours at work suddenly got longer too. The phone I found was a cheap prepaid one, the kind you buy with cash so there is no paper trail. When I turned it on, the screen lit up with messages from a name saved simply as M. The messages were not vague or innocent. They were detailed, affectionate, and disturbingly casual, like two people who had been doing this a long time and were completely comfortable with it. There were plans for hotel meetups labeled as work conferences. There were photos I wish I could unsee. And there was one message that broke something inside me permanently. She had written, "I love my husband, but he does not make me feel alive anymore." I did not confront her that night because I knew myself. I knew if I opened my mouth in that moment, I would either say something I could never take back, or worse, I would let my anger convince me to forgive her too quickly just to make the pain stop. So instead I did something that surprised even me. I decided to become a detective in my own marriage. Over the next few weeks, I started paying attention to details I had ignored before. The way she angled her phone away from me at dinner. The new perfume she said a coworker recommended. The gym membership she suddenly needed, despite never once inviting me to join her. I began quietly documenting everything. Dates, times, screenshots I secretly backed up to a cloud account she did not know existed, receipts from her purse before she could shred them. I was not doing this out of some petty desire for revenge yet. I was building a case, because deep down I already knew where this marriage was heading, and I refused to walk into it blind. The man on the other end of those messages was named Marcus. It did not take long to figure out he was her direct supervisor at work. That detail changed everything. This was not just an affair, this was a workplace relationship involving a subordinate and her manager, something that could have serious professional consequences if it ever came to light through the right channels. For 6 months, I played the most exhausting role of my life. I still kissed her good morning. I still asked about her day. I still told her I loved her, even though every word felt like glass in my throat. People might think I was weak for staying silent that long, but I was not weak. I was patient. I wanted proof so solid that she could never manipulate the story, twist the truth, or make me look like the unstable one when everything finally came out. During those months, I also quietly protected myself. I met with a lawyer under the excuse of updating our estate documents. I moved a portion of my savings into an account only in my name, money I had earned before the marriage that legally belonged to me regardless of what happened next. I made copies of financial documents, insurance papers, and property records. I was not trying to destroy her. I was making sure that when the truth came out, I would not be the one left standing in the wreckage with nothing. The turning point came on a Tuesday night in March. Rachel told me she had a mandatory work retreat for the weekend, the same excuse she had used at least 4 times before according to my notes. This time, I already knew the retreat did not exist because I had quietly called the company's front desk earlier that week, posing as someone confirming logistics for an event that, according to them, was not even scheduled. That weekend, instead of confronting her, I drove 2 hours to visit my brother, and I brought a small, legal voice recorder with me disguised inside a portable charger I left behind in our bedroom, something completely legal in our state since it was my own home and my own property. When I came back Sunday night, Rachel was in a suspiciously good mood, humming while she unpacked a bag that somehow still smelled like unfamiliar cologne. The recording confirmed everything. Not just the affair, but something worse. I heard her laughing with Marcus about how easy it was to fool me, how she planned to stay married to me for financial stability while continuing things with him behind closed doors. That single sentence broke the last piece of guilt I had been carrying about spying on my own wife. She was not confused or lost. She was calculating. I finally made my move, but not with yelling or dramatic confrontations. I invited her to sit down one evening, calm and composed, and told her I wanted a divorce. She looked stunned, asking me why, insisting everything between us was fine. I simply placed a folder on the table between us. Inside were printed messages, time-stamped photos, financial records, and a transcript of the recording. I watched her face drain of color as she realized I had known for months, not days. She tried anger first, accusing me of invading her privacy. I calmly reminded her that recording conversations in my own home, in a state where only one party needs to consent, was completely legal, and that everything else had simply fallen into my hands because she had not been nearly as careful as she believed. Then she tried crying, begging me to forgive her, saying it meant nothing, that Marcus meant nothing. But I had already spoken to a divorce attorney weeks earlier, and every legal step was already prepared. Because I had documented the affair clearly and legally, and because the assets I had protected were provably separate property, the divorce settlement worked overwhelmingly in my favor. The house we owned together was sold, and due to her provable infidelity affecting the state's equitable distribution laws in certain circumstances, I walked away with a fair and just outcome instead of losing everything to a messy fight. But the real karma came from an unexpected direction. During the divorce proceedings, it came out that Marcus was not just her supervisor, he was also married with 2 young children. When his wife discovered the affair through unrelated circumstances, she filed for divorce as well, and the resulting scandal at their company led to an internal investigation into workplace conduct policies. Both Rachel and Marcus were let go within the same month, officially due to policy violations involving supervisor-subordinate relationships. Rachel went from having a stable career, a loving husband, and a comfortable home to losing her job, her reputation at a company she had worked hard to build a name in, and the marriage she had taken for granted. The last time I heard anything about her, she was renting a small apartment across town, working an entry-level position far below what she once had, still, according to mutual friends, insisting to anyone who would listen that I ruined her life by staying silent for 6 months instead of confronting her immediately. But I did not ruin her life. Her choices did that long before I ever opened that boot in the closet. What I did was protect myself with patience, intelligence, and quiet strength instead of letting rage make my decisions for me. I did not scream. I did not destroy property. I did not humiliate her publicly for entertainment. I simply gathered the truth, protected my future, and let her own actions create the consequences she never expected. Today, I am remarried to someone who values honesty as much as I do, someone who knows my story and respects the strength it took to walk through it with my head held high instead of my fists raised. Sometimes the most powerful revenge is not loud or dramatic. Sometimes it is simply refusing to be fooled, quietly building your case, and watching the truth do all the work for you. Because in the end, karma does not need your anger to succeed. It only needs your patience.